but I'm really interested to see what you have to share with us today. So I'll keep quiet and turn everything off and just listen. So thanks, guys.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Yeah,
I hope you'll jump back up and speak once we go to our breakout rooms at some point during the presentation.
Thanks.
But
yeah, we can
I'm
get
ready.
started, Warren.
Okay, will do. So I hope everybody can see my screen here.
Yep.
Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm sure we'll have more folks join punctually late as happens in the video world here. Some people are probably having a little bit of technical difficulties with Teams or whatnot, or their network. Anyway, welcome.
Warren, can you please make it full screen, please?
Oh yeah, I'll do the slideshow view here. Here we go. So today we wanted to present to everybody some of the possibilities in leveraging your environment with Microsoft Teams, Power BI, and whatever your HR platform is on the back end. We've initially done this with Workday because it's what we use in our organization, and so we wanted to do what the industry calls dog fooding term, where we implement it in our own environment before bringing it out to customers. And so we use Workday, and this is the solutions that we're going to show you here today. We've implemented in our own environment in our functional. This workshop, of course, is sponsored by Microsoft. We're a managed partner with Microsoft, and we have been for quite some time. And we work with them through the use of their tools and products, and we use our development resources and engineering and architect folks in order to implement customized solutions of these products for your environments, specialized solutions for each customer. The idea of this is that you get a very good employee first experience where you don't have to go outside and launch other tools or get into logging into your system for additional information and resources, and it's just easy access through Microsoft Teams. Real quick here, we ask that everybody keeps their microphone muted while we're in the main session here talking and delivering the information. A recording of this will be available after the workshop, and we'll post that out there. We're hoping this initial session gives everybody some deeper insights into how they can leverage Microsoft Teams and the HR tools to address the specific challenges in their organization through automation and creating a better employee first experience. This is the first part of a three-part activity we'd like to do with those of you who are attending. Follow on from this is the next step, which we call the art of possible, and then after that, building a plan. So that will be a deeper dive one-on-one sessions with you and our technical folks, where we would build out and create the solutions that you think are a fit for your particular environment at your company. Really quick, here's the agenda for the meeting today. We're going to do some quick introductory information. There'll be an overview of the Power Platform that's going to be presented by our Microsoft guest here, and then we'll show you our automation and some demos, and then we'll do some quick polls. Depending on how many people go online here, we may or may not go into a breakout session, and then we'll have full discussions and details around challenges and automation plans and next steps. We'll show the wrap up of what we've covered here today, and then of course we'll follow up with everybody individually after this presentation today. Just a quick brief background about People Tech Group. We're a world company. We are headquartered on the U.S. side in Redmond, Washington, here with Microsoft, and overseas out of India. Also, we have locations in Bangalore, Vancouver, Detroit, Philadelphia, and Costa Rica now. We've been an alliance partner not only with Microsoft, but with other large-scale companies like UiPath, Oracle, AWS, Salesforce, Cisco. Our company has grown through acquisitions of companies like CodeSmart, Firesoft, Ramp Group, and so on. And these companies all have their specific areas of speciality in their focus that if you look in the technology focus and industry focus groups, each one of these companies concentrates their workforce and skill set in those groups for the data analytics, intelligent automation, cloud modernization, and around specific industry solutions like healthcare, automotive, higher education, and of course the HR that we're showing you here today. We've had this long-term partnership with Microsoft, and it's one of our core strengths in our delivery and capabilities to the marketplace. And we have quite the big resource of folks working on these technologies to deliver solutions to customers. Quite a big list of clients here, just a quick overview and show you in the different channels where we are in automotive, healthcare, government, and so on. And you can see the big list of names here from the companies. We do have very, very specific experience in regards to our HR industry, and we've been collaborating and building solutions with Workday, PeopleSoft, Kronos, and others for quite some time. And we have dedicated resources around this activity and know the specific channel issues in regards to things like the healthcare market or things like that. This is the speakers for today. Dave is going to take over here next and give you the Power Platform demo. I'm Warren, and Sashi is our managing partner and head of customer solutions, and will be speaking as well today. And our architect who does the deep dive technical hands-on for building these solutions for customers is Venkat. And our director for the specific practice here in this activity for the HR solutions is Surya. And I'll hand it over to Dave, and he can provide you with his presentation.
Hey everybody, nice to be here today. Like you could see on the slide before, my name is Dave. My title is the Power Platform Global Black Belt Technical Director, which is a really long way of saying that I work with customers really all across different industries on their journey to low code. And I'll just start with a little bit of introduction to the platform, like why this is important to Microsoft and how we see it used really across Microsoft and our customers as well. At its core, though, like there are a ton of different things changing across the world, and I tend to focus in on really just two of these numbers about like what's driving the demand. Ultimately, like what's keeping me busy, which is that our customers are seeing crushing demand for applications, automation, chatbots, all sorts of digital solutions. We expect that there will be 500 million of these solutions created in the next 5 years, which is more than have been created in the last 40 years. And there's just not enough developers to build these types of solutions. And one way to solve this problem, I guess, would be to make more software engineers. That takes a long time, and really, I don't think that's necessarily the best solution. But we can also embrace what we call empowerment culture, which is allowing more people to participate in the creation of solutions. To us, that means low-code solutions. Right? How can we let people who are close to problems in their organization, create applications, create workflows, analytics, chatbots, all types of digital solutions, but also help the professional software developers answer that demand faster as well. The interesting thing is we've been really pushing low code for a long time. I think it's like at least the last 4 or 5 years. And we've recently started to look at trends for how this has impacted job satisfaction, and how employees feeling empowered to solve problems improves retention. So for instance, this is a low code trend report we did. I can toss the link to the report itself in the chat, but we were looking for examples where if people were given access to low code tooling, would they be more willing to work for companies that invest in them that way? Or are they more doubtful of their future if they're not investing in that type of skilling or tooling? So we're seeing, huge positive impact on morale when people are empowered to solve problems inside of their organization, when organizations train them to use these types of tools. So just like you might have, trained your workforce to use Excel and PowerPoint in the past, we feel that low code is one of those kind of foundational capabilities for the future that a lot of people can participate in the creation of these solutions. So ultimately, like what are these tools? I'm going to spend just a quick minute on each part of our Power Platform offering, and then come back to show you how they can work together. At its start, what we offer is something called Power Apps. This is a low code way. So sometimes it's low code, sometimes it's no code, but it allows you to quickly build web and mobile applications. And if you're familiar with Excel or PowerPoint, it's very similar to a mixture of the two. So I can drag and drop the different elements that I want onto my application. And then if I need some behavior, I write things that look like Excel formulas. And so that gives me the behavior to the app, and the user interface is easy to configure, similar to PowerPoint. Once you've built your application, it can connect to all sorts of data. So it could be Office 365 data sources. Maybe I'm connecting to SharePoint or OneDrive. Maybe I'm connecting to Workday or some other large enterprise system. We also have the ability for professional developers to configure custom connectors. So if you have your own data sources that are bespoke to your organization, you can also include them in these types of solutions. So Power Apps is about building a user experience and those web and mobile applications, but ultimately not everything needs a user interface. Sometimes you just need a workflow. And so we have Power Automate for this. If you think of the different scenarios you might have, when something happens in one system, we want to automatically have something else happen in another system. So this could be a really simple scenario where I just simply want a Teams notification to go to a user, when something changes in the HR system, or I just want automatic reminders. But what we also have are really complex capabilities, things where you can build approval processes directly inside of Power Automate. So things that maybe would require 2 or 3 levels of approval based on who someone's manager is, or based on some custom logic that you want to model out. It's a drag and drop kind of easy to use visual designer to build workflows, approval processes, move data between systems and connect to whatever data that you've got in your enterprise. Now, if you're building applications and you're automating process, a really key thing to consider too is to measure your results. And so Power BI is here to provide you with analytics capabilities. So whatever data you have, wherever it lives, and however you want to look at it, Power BI gives you the power to really tell a story with your data. So it could be that you're going to build an interactive dashboard, same sort of process. It's drag and drop. I can connect to hundreds of different data sources, whether I want to show charts or graphs or dashboard, or even allow users to simply type a natural language question and get the data real time. So there's hundreds of ways to use Power BI, but this is all about analytics and measuring, am I exceeding thresholds or falling below my KPIs? Now, we also have the ability to do chatbots. And this is something you've probably experienced with all sorts of different customer service scenarios where you go to a company's website and you see the little highlight in the bottom right and it says, do you want to chat with an agent? What's interesting is we can build these types of chatbots in a low code way. So it's a very visual designer with Power Virtual Agents where I can build out a conversation flow, and in multiple areas within the designer, if I need to go get data from my HR system or go kick off an approval process or submit a trouble ticket, we have all of the same connectivity. So Power Virtual Agents uses the same connectors we have to all sorts of services, and it allows you to build kind of a conversational experience for your end users. And I'll show this a little bit later in action so you can see what this looks like, but it's a very powerful way to help deflect cases. So you're not handling phone calls and emails with humans if it's something simple that a bot could take care of, or at least get you part of the way and do that handoff later. Now, finally, we have AI Builder. And if you've ever experienced kind of artificial intelligence in the past, you might have seen things like the ability to translate text or to detect sentiment. Is this something, did somebody leave a positive review or a negative review? But we actually have tons of other models as well. And so there's some great examples, for instance, like the ability to, in a no-code way, configure an AI model that can read a PDF document and can read data right off of a form or an image, recognize names and businesses, all sorts of capabilities. Whoops, slide went on its own. And integrate those into your experiences. So think of all the places where maybe we receive emails that have an invoice on them, and I want to automatically extract details from the invoice, and then I want to build that into my app or workflow. These are all things that you can accomplish in a no-code way using AI Builder. But ultimately, it's about using all of these tools together. So I mentioned, not every problem is just solved with an app or just solved with analytics or a virtual agent. It's really the combination of these tools that makes it so powerful and so empowering for individuals to build and solve problems that they're close to. So specifically in HR, I'll show a couple of examples where we kind of hit each one of these. But before I jump into that, I just wanted to point out that Microsoft does this. So I don't know what our employee count is now, 120, 160,000 people. It was interesting. I started here, about 5 years ago, and that little time entry screen you see on the left, that was how we had to take time off. I had to have a certain version of Internet Explorer in compatibility mode to load this legacy website just to say I wanted a day off. In that time, we actually had pushed out a whole suite of Power Apps. So they run on my mobile device. I simply launch Power Apps, and whether it was to take time off, we have a modern time and away tool for that, or I want to give kudos to one of my fellow employees, or if I happen to be at one of the larger campuses, I can see the shuttle schedule or cafe menus. There's company news in there, a holiday reference. So it's really a whole suite of tools that now I can use on my iPhone. So it was really a transformational way of changing this. And we did this for, again, our hundreds and thousands of employees across the world. So it was a great way to add a modern and mobile layer on top of our legacy systems. We did not change our HR system on the back end. We did not change our time entry system. We just simply added this modern layer on top, and it transformed the way people thought about HR at Microsoft. Now, I wanted to show an example of all this in real time. And so I'll go quickly through this. I know I have about 10 minutes left here. But the idea is, in this scenario, that we've got a new hire, and this person has been hired, and it's remote work, and so they're not face-to-face with everybody just yet. And so we're going to use a combination of Teams and the Power Platform to really change their experience and what they see when they come in and join the team. So first, as a new hire, we get a nice Teams message from the manager just saying, hey, welcome everybody, here we are. And what I'm able to do is quickly go over and see that I've got a new chat message. And so I've got a direct chat from the manager, and I've got a bunch of resources. And this is just a best practice, right? You can use Teams to make sure that people have quick access to everything. One of the things you'll notice in this message, though, is that I'm being pointed to this HR bot, because in a lot of cases, like maybe you're new, you don't want to ask somebody a question, maybe you feel you feel shy or whatnot. And so you can use Power Virtual Agents. In this case, we built an HR bot that will help you ask and answer a bunch of questions. So here's the HR bot. I can come in, say hello. It'll initiate a new session. It'll ask me what I need help with. And so I can give it a topic. And the bot is smart enough to kind of understand several trigger phrases and how they might map. And it can learn over time to know what it is that we're talking about. And you can see it's giving me choices along the way. So I want to submit some documents. It just tells me, hey, I can submit them to this email address. Yes, that's good. But maybe I have other questions, and I can go through other topics, ask it other questions, have it understand what I'm saying. And in this case, I'm asking about office supplies for working at home, and it gives me quick links and resources that might otherwise be difficult to find. Now, in the last message, as it signs off, it does give me a reminder to say, hey, look, there is an onboarding app. What's great is that Power Apps has several templates for pre-built applications, at least to get your ideas started. One of them is an onboarding app, and it actually looks very similar to this. And the key thing here is, you notice I was in a Teams chat. I got a link to the onboarding app, and I never left Teams. So you can deploy Power Apps directly into Teams. So if that's what you're using, people don't really have to leave their experience. You're not taking them out somewhere they can always go back and find those applications built into their Teams menu, and also just stay in the context of their work. So here I am as the new employee, and I've launched the onboarding app inside of Teams. It's got some great information coming from HR systems, my onboarding tasks, which might be stored in the Power Platform, and then it's going to ask me for some feedback on the onboarding experience. So I'll go through and I'll say, yep, this all looks good. 4 out of 5, 3 out of 5. Here we go. Next, I can add any comments and finish. And so this data is helping augment all of our other HR data to know how we're doing, and we can analyze that data later as the HR team to see how the onboarding experience is going. But I can also switch over to training, and you'll see I've got a message from the Flow bot. So this is another workflow running in the background to make sure that people who are new hires or maybe are behind on their training are getting notifications, not buried in their email somewhere where they'll forget, but they can also get messages either posted to a team and a channel in Teams, or even a direct chat in Teams. And so I've got this reminder here saying, hey, I've got to go take the new hire training. So I can go off and do that. You'll notice here, this is the same example of getting a direct message from a Flow bot. This is a little bit of a different scenario, but this is just more of a wellness check where we're just sending out these, need to hydrate or stand up. I mean, I know it's a little corny, but the idea is that you can use Power Automate on the back end to remind people of things that they need to do. If I had approval process, that would come in here as well. And what's great is that these little chats, while it is just text in this example, it could also be an adaptive card that gives me options to approve or reject or whatever else I need to do directly inside of Teams. So it all feels like one experience. I'm not going from app to app to get this information. Now I'm going to switch over to an HR manager's view. So we went from the employee themselves. Now I want to see some of the analytics that we're getting on the back end. So for example, same thing here. I might have a team for human resources with a reports channel in here. And in that channel, I've pinned a Power BI dashboard. Now this data is actually coming from a bunch of different places, right? But if you remember the onboarding app that the new employee had a place to add their sentiment and review the onboarding process. As the HR folks, I want to be able to look at, okay, how is this impacting our recruiting and retention? And so you can see I've got a bunch of different data coming in. Presumably from the Power Apps, also some from the data sources and that we have on the back end. But I can get a quick view, again, staying inside of Teams for easy discoverability, and then I can look across the organization and see, okay, based on the profession, what are our top 10 vacancies? Who do I need to be recruiting for? It's a global organization. How does this variance affect us across different countries? What does our headcount look like by department? All sorts of metrics that we can get, and I can dive in and even filter on these things. If I want to see if inventory manager is a top profession, when I click on that, I can start to see, hey, okay, this is a certain department is being affected more, or certain countries are being affected more. But I generally get a great experience across really just one Teams view. So I'll kind of leave it there. This is really about having a powerful experience across really multiple avenues. So it's not just about building apps. It's not just about workflows or analytics. It's really about having everything work together to provide a better employee experience, to provide better information from an HR perspective and streamline your process. But then ultimately, for the people who are a part of this, allowing them to build solutions and workflows that make them feel empowered and, ultimately drive up your retention and your employee sentiment. So I'll pause there. That's all I had prepared for today. I hope you have a great rest of the webinar. I've got a couple of minutes if there's any other questions. If not, I'll drop off and let you enjoy the rest of the show.
If anyone has a question for Dave, we have a couple of minutes before he drops off.
Thank you, Dave, for that presentation. We really appreciate your time today. Enjoy your sunny weather weekend where you are.
Awesome. All right. Same to everyone else.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Okay. Yeah, Warren, let's get back to. Okay, so let me do a quick introduction. My name is Shashi Koteshwara. I'm a managing partner and I lead the solutions for customers at People Tech Group. I'm based out of Seattle, but currently I'm traveling in India. And today I'm going to be talking about um, the most important part of this, the focus group discussion that we have. Warren, if you can bring back the presentation, please. Yeah. Go to the next slide, please. Yeah. So as a HR leaders, you may be going through a lot of transformation over the last 2 years in your organization. We have seen the pandemic come in. We had a lot of people or the employees work from remote, and now people are coming back. We are getting into more of a hybrid situation, and people want to have more of a flexibility in the working model and so on. So there is a lot of changes that are happening in the industry. So we have taken some data points from the Workday and taken some of the key trends that are happening in 2022 more from the HR perspective. If you see on the left hand side, if you look at it, it's related to the great resignation that we saw during the pandemic. Now we are seeing the great engagement as people are coming back into office. They want a different model, hybrid model, and they want to have more of a flexibility, focused more on wellness. So what industry is looking at is how to solve some of these issues, whether it is related to skill gap, because companies are moving towards more digitization, accelerating the transformation that they are going through, but they have the employees which they need to upskill. So how do you now look at finding the gap of employees skill set and how do you bridge it? What kind of tools, platforms that you can provide so that way they can be part of the digital transformation. And then obviously, I mean, last year, if you look at 2021 July data, we had, I think US had 10.9 million job openings. It's not that we had, even though we had like 8.9 or 9, close to 9% unemployment, the companies were not able to find the right skilled employees because there's a change in the business, there's a digital transformation that's happening, the upskilling is required. So these are some of the challenges that even our company we have seen. We work very closely with Microsoft, Amazon, Expedia, and a lot of other companies in the Seattle area. And pretty much most of these companies went through this challenges. So what we are seeing in the as a solution in the industry is that there's a lot of focus on the automation. There's focus on bringing in a lot of tools to enable the employees because they want flexibility and so on. Remote work is becoming, I mean, people want to be more productive. They want to have their own flexibility. They want to have their own way of working, but aligning with the corporate priorities. Like, how do you make that happen? So that still people are focusing on that. And then learning is also another big emerging area. How do you enable employees to learn some key skills? It can be a remote enabled, platform enabled solutions and so on. So all this leads into more of a employee experience, creating employee first culture for your organization. Next slide. So the way we have been working with our customers is that Teams is the front end for your employees. They use Teams for managing the contacts, chat, call, hosting meetings, and so on. But the most important thing is they also use your other applications or platforms, and there may be different business processes that support the HR enablement. Now, let's say if you have Workday in your organization, there may be a lot of business processes that are managed in Workday. But being in front of the teams, now you have the ability to get most of the data from Workday, process it, and then surface it on top of Teams. The way Dave presented or demoed from Microsoft, you can build out different scenarios for employee onboarding, employee even exiting, the best experience that they can get even onboarding or even during their employment or even in the process of leaving the company, how you can create that experience. And then in terms of chatbot, they need a new laptop or new license assigned to them. All of these things can be part of the teams, right? So they just have to go type in what they need, and then this automation engine in the backend goes and works with Workday or Kronos or SAP, any of your backend system, and we can make that automation work for employees at the front end at the teams level. Next slide. Okay. Now, I hope we have given some insights on how some of the business processes can be surfaced up on Teams and create that employee experience. So this is the crux of the whole workshop today, is that Microsoft conducts Art of Possible workshop, and it's funded by Microsoft. So fund the they fund a partner like us, People Tech Group, and we work with the customer who has enough Teams licenses, they have the right use cases, and we do a 1 or 2 days session with the customer, identify what are the use cases that you have, art of possible, and you bring your key stakeholders. We work with your team. It's a working session, and at the end of it, we will build out a plan for you, saying that, okay, for your organization, for your HR needs, we can look at automating some of these processes using different tools that Dave talked about. It can be building a chatbot, or it can be pulling simple information from the backend systems and presenting it, or enabling them to create service request or getting the status of service request. It can be any of those scenarios, because as a HR leader, you would know what are the challenges that your organization is facing. So we can identify those prioritized use cases, get those inputs from you, and then we can come back and present to you on how we can build out this solution. Now, this whole exercise is funded by Microsoft, and we can work with you to make it happen. So this brings it up to a level of building the plan and strategy. And then later stage, we can work with you even for doing some proof of concept. Next slide, Warren. Okay, so this is quick overview of what happens in the workshop when we engage with you one-on-one. Here, what we need from you is close to 3 hours of your time. We would need some of the key stakeholders from your organization. You can nominate someone who can come in and provide us your top prioritized requests. we can look at your architecture, we can look at your business process and come back to you and say that these are the use cases that can be automated. And we can even look at doing some POC, some use cases developed and implemented for you as part of this initiative. So with that, uh, uh, I mean, I can take maybe a question before we move on to the demo from our side, how we are using this Power Platform solution on top of Teams for enabling employee experience in our business. Okay, I'll hand it over to Surya.
Hi, Shashi. Thank you.
Yep.
Guys, let me start my session here. So, welcome to all. Welcome to People Tech. Welcome to this workshop. My name is Surya Avansa. I serve as the director for RPA practice and solutions. Our People Tech as a company, we have more than 2,000 employees spread across multiple countries across the world. And in our RPA practice, we specialize in building solutions for our customers using the Power Platform and other RPA technologies. Basically, we are focused on experience and experienced in developing solutions around the employees and their experiences, and not only for our customers and their employees, but also for our own employees. So these solutions are being used internally, and we can deploy them for the customers as well in a customized fashion. So let us take a typical scenario. As a manager at People Tech, right, I have faced several challenges in trying to get information about where are my team members, what are their skill sets, and how is their performance rating keeping up. So those are some of the questions I have, because typically I'm trying to put up a team together for my upcoming project, right? So to be able to get this information, I would typically have to go to several websites. In this case, maybe Workday, and log into the application, and then deal with the passwords and stuff like that. And then I have to go through several menus and everything, and then get the information. And then while this is one way of getting things done, we felt that there should be something else, some other way of getting it done, so that we can make it much easier for the users, for the user community. And so we thought of, hey, let's get this done in Teams, with Microsoft Teams. So now with Microsoft Teams, the whole plan changes. The whole scenario changes. Rather than I go to Workday and try to get the information, it's like Workday is coming to me and providing me with the information. And what better technology than, other than Microsoft Teams can help me do this, right? So what we are going to see today is a small demo of what we did at People Tech to show some 4 or 5 use cases, such as, show my skills, show my self-review, and, things of that nature. So let's look at let me share my screen. So can you all see my screen here?
Yes.
So this is the employee self-service tool that we built at People Tech, and that will provide some of the basic functionalities. Let me just get started. I say hi, and even if I just came into the tool for the first time, or I say hi, whatever, as you see, it recognized who I am automatically just by logging into Teams. This application that we developed recognize who I am, and it says, welcome to me, welcome to the self-service tool. And it says, how can I help you? And it's giving me a few choices. Show my skills and ratings, my recent performance, my IT requests. And if you notice, there are two more options about reviewing the employee skills and reviewing employee recent performance. So basically what you're trying to, what you're seeing here is a combination of options that I can see for myself as an employee, and other options as a manager. For example, if a individual contributor came and launched the same app, they will be only able to see the show my skills ratings and my recent performance and my IT requests, those kind of options limited to their individual contribution. Whereas when managers, such as people like me, when I log in, I see extra options, and that will enable me to get more information. So let me just show let me say I'm going to use the first one, show my skills and ratings. And yep, as it is going back to the Workday and getting the information and pulling it and showing it to my screen, this is my information right there. It says, yeah, this is your name, this is your employee ID, and these are your skills. And would you like to feed more skills? Things of that nature. I will probably choose not to do anything at this time. And so once I say no, the next option is, okay, so the next option, I can choose another option, my recent performance. Yeah, it's probably showing me in a very flattered manner with all almost 5 to 5 and 4 to 5 ratings, and it shows my information, my reporting manager, and when I joined the company, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the options, and let me take a look. Let me show you how this review employee skills works, which is basically for my team members. Okay. Okay. So is it by employee ID or the employee email address? And let's say I just select by employee ID. I know their IDs. So I say 4091. And it goes to the back end and it's trying to find the employee with that number 4091 and pull up all the information about that person. And in a moment it's kind of typing. And it's going to show the information about this particular person, who this 4091 is. I think it should be Anusha, one of my employee here, but let's see. Yep, there it is. Yep, it is Anusha, and it shows her employee ID and her her skills in HTML, web development, and in Azure, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the options that we have built into this particular demo. And while this is not a complete list of the capabilities of this Power Virtual Agent technology from the Power Platform, there are a lot more things that can be done. And so the objective of this particular demo is to get you started about what are the possibilities. We have seen some of the possibilities from the demo from Dave, and we have seen some options here. So I would like to throw the floor open to any other questions that you have about the demo. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Surya.
Yep, you're welcome.
So Warren, since we have a smaller team, maybe it's a good idea to get into some discussions, or maybe, yeah, let's run through the poll. Sorry. Yeah, let's run through the poll once.
Okay, so I'm going to launch a few series of questions here to help move the discussion forward. So you can see the poll coming up on your screen. Just select what you feel is appropriate and then choose submit. Okay, so it looks like one of the top subjects here for employee new hire is the orientation activity required with a new hire. That's the one that people are saying is the most important or most requested thing from a new hire when they're being onboarded. And again, this is something that can easily be automated here in Teams to get them, those specific training tools or where to find things on shares and all that sort of stuff for the job role orientation. So that's very interesting. We'll try the next one here. Everybody can please vote on here. What tools do you currently use to automate or reduce your steps for the HR process? Ticketing system in place? Do you use a communications tool for email? Do they have to actually log into your HR tool? What do we? Let's see what everybody's voting here. Well, this looks pretty even. Most people say that they have some sort of HR ticketing system in place and that they also have to go out and log into the Workday tool. Again, these are things that can easily be automated and pulled into Teams. So you simplify this for the employee without having to go through extra steps. This question we thought was interesting. Because we're trying to assess and evaluate for folks their interest in automation and why they haven't yet moved forward in automating. So it looks like overwhelmingly here people are saying that the updating of their current tools from their system now is what's preventing them from moving forward. And this is definitely an area where we can help you with the Microsoft tool sets. You're not realizing that the tools you have in place now are ready to enable you to move forward with like Teams and Workday or a different backend Kronos or what you have. For the integration using Power BI, you can actually use the tools you have in place and move forward. So this we thought was a interesting thing to know because the usage level of Teams is a good indicator on an organization's internal communication activity. And the longer that it's been in place, the more effective your internal communication has been in your organization. And it looks like everybody has a pretty mature organization here with an effective communication tool in place. And now we're hoping that we can, help you leverage that communication tool to do more for your employees and help you automate things and make an easier solution for them to work with. We're assuming most people have Workday who've joined this call, but we were curious to see what the other tools in place for the group that have attended the calls are. Okay. So that's interesting that we have a lot of response to other outside of this, and I'd be very curious from the group when we finish the poll here for getting the information from those of you using other solutions other than what we've listed here. Again, the integration with the back end can be done with any tool into Teams. We're assuming everybody uses Teams as their main tool, but always good to check and see if anybody else has another solution in place or they might be using multiple tools. I was in an environment where they had Teams and Slack being used at the same time and had a lot of disconnect as far as where you go for what communication with which group and how to get resources because they were in a transition period and found that very difficult of an environment. It seems like everybody here is on Teams, which is great. Oh, we're getting a couple others joining in the mix. We know from most of our folks, these are the top 3 that we found were the inquiries for HR when we went to automate this in our team system. And we were curious to see the response from everybody on that. Looks like sick leave is the winner there for what people are or want quick access to, and doing it through an automated bot in Teams is just very quick access to this type of information, and they don't have to chase down someone from HR or ask their manager or go into another tool and launch that to make it happen. And the final question we have here, of course, is to try and gauge everybody's interest on their plans to automate. Looks like a very strong response there on everybody looking to automate, and that's great, and that's what we're here to help you with. In as Shashi presented there, moving on to the next steps of doing the art of possible and building a plan individually with you and your key resources at your company that have the right level of input for us to help you get there and build a solution for you. Okay. So,
Yeah, Warren, I think let's quickly move on since we have um, customers or HR leaders on the call. Maybe we can just get a couple of people share their experiences and hear from them. Maybe I'll let Nick, maybe if you can go over and ask you questions, that will be great.
Yeah, I was really curious. My past, by the way, I'm Nick Nortelli. I work at People Tech, but my background has been in benefits for a couple of decades prior to this. So yeah, I've been around for a little while. I was wondering, what are some of the top concerns that our folks who are our guests today are feeling um, in the HR role in terms of automating process? Paul, Marion, can I pick on you? Maybe Eric? You'll have to come off mute to say hello, though. think maybe a couple of our friends might have gone out for coffee.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Well, I
we're
know
hoping-
that when I'm out in the field and I'm speaking with HR leaders, they definitely want to find a way, because at least my experience with HR is that it's one of the most underappreciated and under-resourced areas in a typical organization. They work very, very hard and sometimes long hours, and they solve some of the most difficult problems within an organization. And finding ways to automate low-level processes has been a big concern that I'm hearing quite a bit, Warren. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about how some of the things that we do can solve that.
Sure. So essentially, between the demos you saw today from Microsoft and from us, we're showing you ways that you can ease the access to information, not only out of your systems like Workday and Kronos, and that the teams can integrate with resources on your SharePoint, and fetch documents in relation to training manuals, or point the person who's making a query to the right share for training videos, or even directly launch the training videos within teams there that they need as a resource. Perhaps you have your onboarding video, or you have your specific set of training video for someone who's at a particular engineer level. They need to complete a different training module set, and it can keep track, and they can continue to request from the system within teams where they're at, what how many they've completed, how many they've got left to do. That information can then be automated and follow up and deliver to their manager that they've completed the training as it happens, and gets updated in the system for their view as well. And then they can assign more modules of the next level for like a certification and that sort of thing. So it's a very interesting way to integrate additional tools and resources directly at their fingertips there within teams, using these Power BI tools and automation and chatbot and things like that. Looks like we had a pretty good session today, and we thank everybody for attending. We will have a recording of this available that we will publish, and we will reach out to all of those of you who have attended, and even the folks who've signed up as well that were unable to attend today, and follow up with you to discuss the art of possible and building a plan for your organization in regards to assisting you with leveraging the Microsoft Teams environment to help you automate these processes and integrate with your current tools and systems. And we really appreciate you all taking the time today.
Thank you, Warren. And thanks,
Yep,
team.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Great job.
Thank
And
you.
it was
Bye.
Thank you, Warren.
It was
Thank you.
especially nice to meet you, Marion. Have a great afternoon, everyone.